Good evening, gamers. So, I have the flu today, so my voice is not gonna be, 100% of what it usually is. I'm gonna do the best I can to get through this and talk as clearly as I can, but obviously I'm not gonna sound the same. I kinda got that 40-year-old smoker voice going, if you know what I'm saying, so bear with me. I'm gonna do the best I can. So lately I've been doing a lot of really specific, really deep dives, like analysis type stuff on the channel, and I just kinda wanted to, break it up a bit. And today I'm gonna just talk very generally. I'm just gonna recommend 5 or 6 of my favorite anime movies because, to be honest, I think anime movies are kind of slept on. I feel like a lot of the series get a lot of attention and a lot of the, live action movies get a lot of attention, but anime movies you don't really hear a whole lot about unless it's like, one of the big ones like Studio Ghibli or whatever. So I'm gonna take some time, just talk about my favorite movies, and I'm gonna give some other examples by the same director. So if you have seen, the main movie, there'll be something for you to watch too there. Yeah, let's get into it. So first on the list we have Perfect Blue, which is without a doubt one of my favorite psychological thrillers of all time. The premise of the show, or movie rather, sorry, is essentially there's this girl, she's a pop idol, and she wants to sort of rise to higher levels of stardom and fame by venturing into the world of acting and modeling. But as she does so, and as she sort of becomes more and more and more of a celebrity, she deals with sort of more of the negative drawbacks, like, the downsides of fame. She has like creeps following her around, she has a lot of jealousy going on in her personal life, and she slowly begins to lose touch with reality and her sense of self. And I love that about this show. One of the things I think the show does the best is it sort of blurs the line between like reality and fiction, because as she sort of enters the acting world, she begins to act in all these movies, and they'll show scenes from the movies out of context, and you almost can't tell if what you're seeing is movie or reality. And as the show goes on, those lines become more and more and more and more and more blurred as sort of the main character's sense of her own world becomes more and more and more blurred. When I first watched Perfect Blue, I was going through a lot in my life, and it's a very introspective movie, and I think watching it sort of helped me deal with a lot of things I was going through. So it really just has a special place in my heart. And if you like anything like Christopher Nolan, M. Night Shyamalan, any of those like really trippy, like psychological movies that have like a lot of twists and turns to them, then you will love Perfect Blue. Additionally, if you've already seen Perfect Blue, the director, I can't remember his name, his other big work, or the other work that I've seen, is Paprika. It's another phenomenal movie. There's a lot of similarities between Perfect Blue and Paprika. I think Paprika leans a bit more into like the sci-fi elements, and sort of like, it's a bit more like Inception. So I guess I'd say Perfect Blue is kind of like Memento. Paprika is kind of like Inception if you're going through like Christopher Nolan analogies, I don't know. But yeah, if you've already seen Perfect Blue, give Paprika a check out if you liked it. And if not, watch Perfect Blue. So next up we have Your Name, which is, I know, a little basic to put on like an anime movie list, but whatever, it's my list, so I'm putting it on there anyways. I think it does such a great job of breathing life into the dead romance genre, because I feel like a lot of romance is just so repetitive. It's like there's a boy and a girl, and they see each other and they fall in love, but then there's like a bunch of tension in their life, so they have to like, not be in love, but then in the end they resolve the tension, and then, they can, make babies. That's like the premise of like 9 out of 10 romance movies. The premise of Your Name is essentially this boy and this girl just switch bodies overnight, right? And they basically wake up in the other person's world, and rather than sort of falling in love with the other person based off of physical features or physical attractiveness or those kinds of things, they fall in love with each other based off of their world. They kind of fall in love with who they are as a person rather than, just their personality or their, I guess, physical attributes, which is really, really beautiful, and it's something that, like, I don't think is often done well. On top of that, the execution is just perfect. The visuals are perfect. There's a lot of like Japanese cultural elements and Japanese mythos sort of thrown in, and of course there's a lot of, self-fondling. But yeah, it just is probably one of the most perfect movies ever, and if you like Your Name, which, you've probably already seen Your Name and you probably already love it, I would definitely check out 5 centimeters per second. It's Makoto Shinkai, he's the director of the movie. It's his first work, 5 centimeters per second, and Weathering with You is his other big one that I've seen. Both are really phenomenal movies, so if you've seen Your Name and you want more of that like sort of feel-good, like touchy-feely type of like romance very like interpersonal connection type of movie. 5 centimeters per second and Weathering with You are great places to go. Check those out if you haven't seen them. Next up, we have Akira, which is a really special movie to me because it gave birth to what is arguably my favorite genre ever, which is of course cyberpunk. It was the first movie that was kind of cyberpunk, or at least to my knowledge, it gave birth to the entire like cyberpunk movement. The premise of the movie is they're basically set in a post-war society where Tokyo is in ruins and there are all these kids who are just kind of thrown out on the street. And so they're up to no good, they're dicking around, riding motorcycles around, getting into fights and whatever. And then their friend gets kidnapped into this secret government program. He becomes an Esper. There's this big, massive X-Men Last Stand-esque fight where this guy has like Phoenix level powers and he starts, screwing shit up. Yeah, it's just a chaotic movie. There's a lot going on. Yeah, it's just, I guess, pure cyberpunk like it is. I'm gonna be honest, it's not perfect. It has a lot of pacing issues. It's not the most organized movie ever, but it's just so influential you almost have to love it. It gave birth to not only the cyberpunk genre, but so many other, I guess, things that were borrowed from it. The biggest thing I can think of is something called the Akira slide. It's like this motorcycle stop where the motorcycle is going along and then it just does like a tilt stop, right? You see that in so many works, and it was inspired by Akira. And I think my favorite thing about the movie is it's unapologetically violent. There'll be this incredibly gruesome death that happens, and then you're you have your head in your hands, you're freaking out because you're this person just died. And then 2 seconds later, someone else will die, an even more gruesome death. And you're you're on the edge of your seat, and it just builds up. Yeah, it's just a great show. I don't really have any other works. I haven't seen anything else by the same director. But give Akira a watch if you're into Blade Runner or any of those other big cyberpunk titles, because it is sort of, I think, important to understand where a lot of the cyberpunk stuff comes from. So next up on our list, we have Kiki's Delivery Service, which is kind of ironic because I literally just made a whole ass video talking about why I think Studio Ghibli movies are overrated. But here's the thing, right? This list would be incomplete if I didn't put a single Studio Ghibli movie on it, because Studio Ghibli is just so influential. It's impossible for me not to talk about a Ghibli movie. And if I'm being honest, it's just kind of a comfort treat. Kiki's Delivery Service is a comfort treat to me. I can just kind of sit down on the couch and eat my ice cream and watch it, and I'm just instantly at peace. It just does that for me in a way that nothing else does. I think it's the charm of the Ghibli movie, the amazing soundtrack, the amazing visuals, and it's just so peaceful. I can just watch it and sort of go to sleep a bit on the inside. It's very well done. The premise of the movie is basically this girl, she's a witch. She has to sort of come of age and learn how to become a good witch. So she leaves home, goes to this big city and starts a delivery service, right? As the name would suggest. And if I'm being honest, it's not a really deep movie. It's not gonna blow you out of the water in terms of themes or anything like that. But like I said, it just puts your mind at ease. Every single hair movement and grass movement in the wind is just perfectly animated. That soundtrack just puts you to sleep. There's just so much to love about it. And if you've already seen Kiki's Delivery Service, I would definitely check out Studio Ghibli's other work and Hayao Miyazaki's other works, Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke and literally any of the other Studio Ghibli movies. They all have that same charming aesthetic to it. So yeah. Last but not least, I'm recommending The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. And The Girl Who Leapt Through Time is a time travel movie, and I think time travel is one of those things that's very easy to either A, get it completely wrong, or B, just make it so convoluted and complex it's hard to follow along unless you're just a 4D chess player, just able to keep track of 6 different timelines and alternate characters and crap like that. It does away with all of that, and it just focuses on being a coming of age story with time travel. It's really beautiful, and it execution wise it works very, very well. The premise is this girl, she comes into contact with this magical object and obtains time traveling powers, where she's essentially looping through the same, I guess, period of time over and over and over again, infinitely. And along the way, she has to learn how to use these powers responsibly. She has to like grow as a person and learn some pretty important life lessons along the way. Classic coming of age stuff, but it's just a really well done high school anime with, you know, some trippy stuff thrown in. If you're a big fan of like any high school anime, this is peak high school anime. And it's by the same guy who did Bell, he did Summer Wars, he did, I think, Wolf Children. Mamoru Hosoda is the guy's name. Then if you watch any of those movies and like them, then you will love Girl Who Leapt Through Time. I think it's one of his smaller works, one of his least known works, compared to Belle and Summer Wars and Wolf Children. But definitely give I'm saying the wrong movie. Definitely give Girl Who Leapt Through Time a watch. It's, without a doubt, my favorite time travel work. Actually, no, I don't know. Steins Gate is pretty good. I was gonna say it's my favorite like time travel anime, but I like Steins Gate a lot. They're kind of equal in my mind. Like Steins Gate is more of like the sci-fi time travel, and this is more just kind of a fun time travel. Time travel is a fun concept. It's just hard to get right, and I think Steins Gate and, you know, I'm getting off track. Just watch it. Just watch it. Just watch all of Mamoru Hosoda's stuff. Watch Belle. Watch Wolf Children. Watch Summer Wars. Watch this. They're all amazing. So that's all I got. And by no means have I seen every single anime movie. In fact, I've probably seen few anime movies compared to all the anime shows I watch. If you think I missed a big one, or there's one that you think I should watch, because I'm always looking for, I guess, more recommendations, drop it down in the comments below. And please give me a like and a subscribe if you like my content and you like my cute face and you want to see more of me. Yeah, and I love you guys, and I'll see you gamers next week. Bye-bye.